One of the questions we got asked a lot when we got back from the trail was, what was the wildlife? What kind of animals did we see on our journey? And we started January 17th, so we didn't really see much wildlife for the first month or two. We saw one rabbit coming out of a blizzard, and it was dark. We could see his eyes glowing. And for a long time, we just said, yeah, that's a wildlife, one rabbit. And it was quite a while before we saw anything else. We probably, through Georgia, Tennessee, not until we got to Virginia, we started seeing some deer. And saw quite a few deer in the Shenandoahs. But other than that, for the first from Georgia to Virginia, we didn't see much wildlife. When spring started coming on, we started seeing those red F's, them little orange like salamanders they look like. And we saw a lot of toads and a couple frogs, but mostly toads. And we were surprised because on our section hikes, we had seen so many bear. Over the 14 years of section hiking, we walked by 17 bear, and we hadn't even saw so much as bear scat all the way. Basically, the entire hike, we didn't see any bear scat. And just not much wildlife out there for us to see this time. And we're out there a long time. We got up around Pennsylvania, and we did see a rattlesnake. He was quite a ways away from us, but that was one of the first snakes that we saw. Then eventually we started seeing a lot of black or rat snakes, and saw a couple snakes that I've never saw on the trail before. It was, I looked them up, they were called ringneck. They got a little yellow ring around their neck. I read about them, and it said they're not really that venomous. They got enough venom to for a human to be like a bee sting, but they can use that to subdue their prey. And I learned that out there. I didn't really even hear of a ringneck snake before. And then as we went on, we saw a few more deer as we got more into it. And up in New Jersey, we were walking, and a girl told us that to be careful. There was a rattlesnake that she had to move off the trail. And it was so rocky, we were focusing on the rocks, and I was in front, and I staring down at the rocks, and all of a sudden I heard the giant rattle, and he was right by the side of the trail. And I backed up very fast, and he could have struck me from the distance we were. And, I had the warning. The girl told me that there would possibly be a rattlesnake up ahead, and just got focused on the rocks. And that was probably the scariest moment, was when he rattled. Let's see, and what else did we see? Saw some loons, and they kept us awake one night. A couple whippoorwill. They're pretty noisy. We saw up in New Hampshire, I believe, we saw our first porcupine. We'd never saw a porcupine in the wild before, so that was kind of neat. And for as much damage as the beaver have done around the trail, we didn't see a single beaver. I thought we might. When we got up to Maine, we hadn't saw a moose or everybody kept asking us, did you see a moose? Have you heard a moose? Saw a moose yet? And we had not. And on our last day going up to Baxter Park, it was still dark out because we got an early start on that day. And we heard something in the bushes. It sounded like a baby crying. The woods were pretty thick right there. And I got a little closer to investigate, and I saw something big move in the brush. And I backed up quick. I couldn't really make out what it was because it was dark. And we just continued up the trail. And when we looked it up online, it had sounded like a baby crying. And I from what we found out online, it was a baby moose. And I'm glad we did move on because the mothers can be really protective. And well, more people have been killed by moose than bear out there. Or not out there, but we've heard that more people have been killed by moose. And they're a pretty big animal, and we wanted nothing to do with that. We had saw one moose up in Montana a few years ago, and we watched them wade into the water and stuff. We watched them for about 45 minutes. It was pretty cool. That was the only moose we've ever saw hiking. But we heard one on our last day. And we're just kind of shocked about the lack of wildlife that we saw. We thought we would see a lot more, judging by our section hikes. It seems like, well, we always went in May on our section hikes, and we always saw a lot of wildlife. I guess leave it in January, you're going to limit your chances. You can see farther. You can see farther into the woods for sure, but just nothing was moving around. Well, I hope that answers the questions on what kind of animals we saw. I don't know if I mentioned it. In New York, we saw, I had to look them up because I never saw this kind of frog before. It was a wood frog, and they were kind of cool looking. They're kind of a tan. I'll try to include a picture in at the end of the video of if you've never saw a wood frog before, but they're kind of cool. Okay, well, thanks for watching, and our next video might be a Michigan video. Okay, thank you. Bye.